What's up, guys? This is Colin from Web White and Boosted. Just checking in again today. So what we're gonna do today is I filmed a video yesterday. It was in my garage. That doesn't really do the car justice. We're talking about my 65 coupe. I'm gonna take that car over to the park, which isn't, it's just like down the block. And then film a little bit, do a little rev, maybe do some burnouts. I don't know what it has in it. I haven't driven the car more than just up and down the block, so we'll see what it does. Okay, so I finally got everything cleared out. I've got just the 2-car garage right now, so my driveway is nutty. But I can fit like 4 cars in the driveway, 2 here, and then I've got enough street space that if like my good cars, the ones that aren't trashy, I can park those on the street. But okay, so this is the car. I'm gonna give you a little, oh yeah. So it's a 65 coupe. It was a piece of crap when I bought it. Some stuff happened, I'll tell you more about that in the park. So just settle in, we'll go for a ride. Oh. This is the first start of the day. The cable clutch is really similar to like an SM95. It's a super killer setup for someone that likes to go that last 10%. I've noticed that when I'm building cars, I'm like the 90%. So that last 10% is always the hardest for me, but we will see what they say about the gas situation. Yeah, Apple Pay is great because I forget my wallet like all the time. And funny enough, so does my wife. But it works out really well. You know, you just scan your phone and boom. I didn't know that they would do that ever for gas stations because I feel like gas stations just in general are like always sketched out. I did $20. I don't know what that converts to in gallons, but I hope it's not too high because I don't have the filler neck in and I don't want to like sloshing around. And the car is kind of jacked up. So, okay guys, hey, it's Colin with Red, White and Boosted. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, like and go ahead and comment, and can I get that subscribe? I really would appreciate it. This is a hard one to make. And I made one yesterday in the garage and it wasn't what I wanted it to be. 4 years ago, I was just started dating Jenny, 5 years ago, I guess. She had a Challenger, and that went away within like 2 months. I got her into a Mustang. It was a V6, but it was cool. And I had a couple projects at the time, the red car and a couple others. And Jenny just kept saying like, hey, I want to build a car, or can you build me a car? It was just like that sort of like, I want a car that I can take to a show. I want a car that I can cruise around and people will say it's cool. I want, you know, just a fun car like that. And I was like, well, what would you want? Because really the only thing I could think for a starter like that, or like a person new to the Mustang game, would have been in like a Fox body. And she said that her dad had a Mustang, a 66 or 67 when she was growing up, and her dad passed away when she was really young. But what she knew about it was that, or what she remembered a lot of, was that he had a Mustang and it was on nitrous and it was older and things like this. So then I start getting on Facebook and I find this car, but it looks nothing like this. I'll show you pictures. I'll pause the video and I'll put it in there. And I'll make a gallery and I'll put it on the blog page so that you guys can view that as well. We found it for $600. It was in a junkyard. It was all rusted. It didn't have, the whole front end was gone. The fenders, both the fenders were gone. Everything looked like it was rusted, but it wasn't. It was like a little bit of surface rust mixed with like 4 or 5 different shades of spray paint, like red, yellow, green, blue. It was a mess. It didn't have like a trunk, or it did have a trunk, but it was all rusted through the trunk lid. You could tell that the doors have been replaced. You kind of still can tell that. They just don't fit the car. I don't know if it's because it's a 66 door, but they should all be the same. I don't know. Anyways, let me show you. So basically immediately after we got the car home, I took everything out of it, vacuumed it, power washed it, and I took it over to my buddy's shop. His name is Justin Bowles. He's actually the guy that painted the whole car and did the bodywork. Really good job. I had him paint the dash, and I had a pinstripe Will You Marry Me. I took Jenny out to dinner for like 5 days straight to really nice restaurants, and she kept thinking like it was all the typical places you would go, like really nice steakhouses and places like that, Italian restaurants with like the string quartet and stuff. She kept thinking, oh man, he's gonna propose tonight. He's gonna propose tonight. She had her nails done and everything. Little did she know that I was actually on the 5th night, on Friday night, I took her to Justin's shop. I was like, hey, we made a lot of progress on the 65. I want to show you. She was like, oh, okay. Well, I made a mistake. So I'm like getting out of the car. We're in our Kia, and the center console's here. She gets out of the car already, and I'm like, oh shit, I got to get from the center console to my coat jacket. I should have just had my coat jacket already. But anyways, I took the ring and I tried to slip it in my coat jacket, and the way that it like slipped out of the door onto the ground, and I was like, oh shit. So I had to like get out of the car real quick, and I like leaned down and picked it up, and I'm sure she saw. And later on she told me she did see, but she wanted to play along because she wanted to be a good sport. What I did was I got down on my knee. The door was closed, right, and she's standing right here, and she's leaning through, trying to look through the glass, and she can see that it says something, she can't tell. So I open the door, she steps around, reads it, and I'm like on my knees right here, right by the back quarter. And I was like, will you marry me? She said yes, everything was cool, that was awesome. We decided we wanted to build the car, had a few ideas. Originally we just wanted to paint it like white, not do any body modifications, just kind of like bolt it all together. I was gonna paint the wheels like slick sides or whatever. They kind of look like old school garbage can, like really shiny tin. A buddy of mine owned this wheel company at the time, was like, hey, whatever you want to do. And we own DH, a performance shop in Oklahoma City. We just sold parts, we didn't do work. So I had to get these wheels, and then when I got the wheels, they were really wide in the back. They were like poking out like 4 inches, and so I was like, okay, well, I have to get either a narrower rear end or widen the car, or both. Got a narrower rear end. It's Ford Explorer rear end. It's a 8.8 with disc brakes. And the reason I did that is because Explorers use leaf springs, so it was really easy to kind of modify that to make that work. And then I used the drive shaft out of the same Explorer. It's a 3.5-inch drive shaft made of aluminum. And then I had a buddy of mine shorten that down. He owns Precision Driveline in Oklahoma City. Really good shop. Then the front, I just did like a basic rebuild in the front. It still uses all the factory type stuff. So it has a V8 spindles because the car was originally a 289 with a 3-speed. So it uses V8 spindles, and I use the Mustang Steve adapter kit for like what he advertises is just the GT base model brakes, but you can make these work obviously. So that's when I took a hammer and hammered it to roughly the right shape, and then we took smaller hammers and got it closer and closer until we finally used some body filler and putty and made it look right. While we were doing that, we also shaved this into the valance, the rear valance, and then I also shaved this drip rail, cut that off and welded it in together and shaved it, and it's beautiful. So now the elephant in the room is what happened. Why is the back ripped up like that? Why is the hood hitting the fender on that side? We were trying to get the car ready for Mustang Week, and we did. And it went there, and it drove around, and it was awesome. It was like, it caught a lot of attention, and it was a really nice cruiser for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's just a really good, it fits that area really well, I think. We also sponsored that show that week, and took this car, the Shelby, which I'll show a picture of. And once we did that show, then I was like, okay, we're doing all the shows. I want to do every show I can with DH. I want to get this brand out there. And so we did the next big show was the race, Mod Motor Nationals in South Georgia. And so I drove the car. Actually I put this car on my 40-foot gooseneck trailer on my F250. I put this car and the Shelby on it. So I put the gooseneck, put this and the Shelby on the gooseneck, and drove from Oklahoma to South Georgia. Went all the way through without a hitch. It was perfect. On the way back, stopped in Atlanta, no problems, getting around everything. Took the Shelby off, drove the Shelby around Atlanta to see some buddies, do some stuff, and then loaded everything back on. Again, no issue. I'm heading back to Oklahoma City. I'm by myself. I get to West Memphis, Arkansas. The truck, it will go into gear, but it's not moving like it should. It's like revving up way high. It feels like the transmission's just slipping to high heaven. I go get some transmission fluid poured in. That seems to get it going. I get on the highway. About 3 miles down the road, it starts slipping again. It's like revving up way to the moon. So I pull off to the nearest truck stop. I look underneath the truck, and it's pouring out transmission fluid right at the bell housing. So I knew that something was wrong inside the transmission. Later I learned that's a front seal issue. It's super common on those 7.3, I think it's a 4R100. I call everyone I know. I'm like, hey, do you have a gooseneck? Can you come get me? I'll drive the Shelby, blah, blah, blah. Everyone can't come get me for like 2 days. 4 hours goes by, right? I'm sitting at this gas pump, 4 hours goes by. I'm in the F-250, I have the trailer, nothing's happening. I waited like 4 hours and this kid comes in like a big jacked up Dodge Ram 2500. And I see this kid and he has a gooseneck. And I look at the plate on the truck just to see like, okay, he has a gooseneck. Is he going toward the direction I'm going? I'm like, hey, he might live in Dallas. If he does, then I can just get him to zig through Oklahoma City, drop my stuff off, and go back down to Dallas. So I'm like, okay, let's see if I can get this to work. So I approach the guy. He's super cool. He's like, yeah, man, I just broke up with my girlfriend from Alabama. I go to state. I go to school in Tuscaloosa. I'm like, man, that's a really shitty story. Can I pay you $500? Take my Shelby off my trailer, to put my truck on my trailer. And he was like, sure. So I go to the ATM, I get out 500, I give it to him. And then I was like, okay, look, let's just be careful. You know, that's a lot of weight, especially with the heaviest part of it being at the back of the trailer. He was like, oh no, it's cool. I haul hay like all the time. I'm thinking, okay, he hauls hay all the time. Anyways, we get like 80 miles to my house and I'm behind him and he's been trucking pretty good. He's like 80, 85 miles an hour the whole time. We get to, it's like Henrietta, and I see him hit something. His truck steers like, whew, and then my trailer swings across the highway. And if you can picture the highway, it's basically like 2 and 2 with a huge median, kind of like a grass divider. The trailer swung across the whole damn thing, from the slow lane of this lane across the 50-yard median of grass, and then gets traction on the other asphalt and ends up on its side, like perpendicular to the ground. It was scary. And I watched it all happen in front of me. I'm like drifting off. It's like 2 in the morning or like 1:30. It's really late. Actually, first I go and check on him. He's like, oh no, I'm good. I was like, okay, this is crazy. I'm like looking at the situation. His truck is totaled. Like the trailer is laying on the side of the bed. I think it was totaled. My trailer's not in good shape, and I just got it like maybe 6 months prior. It's just not a good situation. Like the whole way around, it was not good. I called the cops show up. The cop immediately calls a wrecker service. The wrecker service comes out. So let's just fast forward through that, because that was a really hard time. I already called my wife. She's booking it from Oklahoma City. It's only 80 miles, so she should probably be there in about an hour. I'm like, oh shit, this is not good. Haven't really got a chance to go look at my car. I know that my car is hanging on the side of the trailer. It's not on its roof or anything. I was thinking that maybe I could save that. My truck that was on the trailer, it was done. It was totaled too. So I was like, shit. At least the car that I've spent thousands of hours, tens of thousands of dollars with Justin late at night for 3 years, at least I can save that car. We just have to flip the trailer back over. The car's hanging on the side of the trailer like Spider-Man. The state-sponsored wrecker service shows up. We're gonna get this whole thing sorted out. I was like, hell yeah, brother, let's get it on. Jackass hops up on the trailer like Spider-Man himself with the box knife and just starts going to town on the straps. The car, my straps were money. One by one, each strap gets cut. And my wife and I are both screaming at him with the officer standing there telling us to shut up, because I had already called my wrecker service, my trusted guy, Ralph, in McLeod, which is like near Oklahoma City, but he said he'd be there in an hour. So shortly after, he cuts down my car, it rolls onto its roof, strap by strap, slowly, painfully. And so that's why there's no damage on any of the car, except for right here, this roof section, and then like little stuff like this, but this could be fixed. It is all his fault, the wrecker service guy. So that's the biggest mystery of my life right there, and it was probably the most expensive mystery of my life. My car is still beautiful. I mean, 63. I listed the car, I did a couple price drops. I started at 12.8 or something like that and dropped it down to like 11.5. Got a whole bunch of hits on 11.5. People offered me around 9,500. I kind of felt like 9,500 was the market when I first listed it, but you always got to shoot high. Then I dropped it. I said, oh again. I dropped it down to 10.9. I let it sit for 3 days. I got flooded with messages and decided that I was going to take, you know, someone that wanted to come out and look at the car, or someone that wanted to give me a sizable deposit. I would take any offer in excess of 95. And today I had a guy come out. He just test drove the car, liked the car a lot. So he made me an offer at $9,500 or actually $9,600 in person. We went back and forth. You know, I'm not going to split hairs. We're obviously making a sizable profit on this car already. I hit him with 10. We met in the middle at 9,800. So that's what we're about to do. I'm about to go drive the car for the last time, and Jenny's probably gonna be driving it. It's been her daily driver for the last month and a half or so. I think she's gonna miss it, but we can definitely get something else. I'm possibly looking at like a C55 or a CL55. That's the plan for now. I'm gonna go take the car. We're gonna make the deal, and then I'll give you guys an update once I have that done. This is Phil. He's the buyer of the E63. Yes. Anyways, I just made the drive over from my house. The traffic is crazy in Atlanta. I don't know if any of you guys, my viewers, are from Atlanta, you'll see that 285 is a shithole every day. Anyways, we're meeting at this like Asian supermarket. Strip market. Yeah, so I'm gonna go get some boba tea because you guys know that I love boba tea. But I'm gonna do that real fast. So I'm in the passenger seat for the first time in this car. But Phil's gonna take this car home. We're gonna meet back up in like a week. I'm gonna lend him the tag so he can go get it registered and everything. But awesome. This car definitely has 200 on the dash, and it's a nice car. I'm just glad that it went to a good dude.
I'm gonna take care of this baby.
On Valentine's Day, he got his Valentine right here. What's up? So, thanks guys for tuning in Red, White, and Boosted. If you like more videos like this, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks.